Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I am going to talk about Palantir, and I cannot make this up. As you know, Palantir was supposed to have a debate on March 15th with Foxglove. The person debating with Foxglove is the head of UK operations for Palantir, Mr. Mosley. Who is Foxglove? Foxglove is a non-for-profit corporation that wants to make sure that there's fair allocation of tech. And essentially, this is one of the groups that absolutely hates on Palantir and just wants any company except for Palantir to get this contract with the NHS. This debate is now over. Foxglove puts out a tweet earlier, and there's a lot of speculation as to why this is over. Some people are saying that maybe Mr. Mosley didn't get clearance with Dr. Alex Karp. Other people are saying there is literally no point for this debate, that the NHS might have already awarded or about to award this contract to Palantir and say, hey, keep your mouth shut. There's no point to debate. And other people are saying there is literally no point to debate because these people don't care about facts or knowledge or data. They just care about hating on Palantir. In a moment, I'm going to go over what this contract means, when the deadline was over to bid, when we can expect an award, and how much this contract is actually worth for Palantir year by year for their actual total revenue in a percentage form. I did a little bit of math with the help of ChatGPT, and it's really, really cool. For anybody that doesn't understand, Palantir right now has been working with the NHS since March 2020 during COVID. Palantir has helped distribute over 120 million vaccines, over 9 billion pieces of personal protection equipment, and made thousands of decisions on a daily basis. This is not my opinion. This is absolutely factual. Literally, the website on the UK that was tracking COVID was built on Palantir Foundry, lickety freaking split. It was done so fast. And they have been working with the NHS since March 2020. And since March 2020, they keep extending their contracts and expanding on their contracts. I'll go over the numbers in just a moment. On the other side right now are companies that are saying possibly together we can come up with something that can challenge Palantir. But in reality, in this ring, there is literally just one contender, and it's Palantir, heads over heels above the rest. These people on this side are saying we can possibly come up with something that can maybe possibly somehow little bit of this, little bit of that compete with Palantir. And Palantir is saying, we're not going to come up with something that competes with us. We're literally helping you now. We work now. We have worked in the past, and we will work and work even better in the future. Palantir, as always, has a proven track record. Let me go into the details of the contract. Total contract is going to be worth a minimum of £360 million. We know that after 5 years, they have an extension option for 12 months and then another 12 months. And those 24 months is worth an additional £120 million. We are currently at £480 million. A lot of people say, Adam, why do you keep bringing up this term of $1 billion? We know that Palantir starts small, and I'll go over the contracts with the NHS alone in just a moment. But Palantir starts small with everybody, governments, companies, abroad, domestically, so on and so forth. And once you see the utilization of Palantir and what Palantir can do for you, they expand on their contracts. A lot of people believe, since Palantir has been working with the NHS since 2020, it's going on 3+ years right now, that Palantir, once they have this contract, is probably going to have an extension of the contract past the initial 5 years, past the additional 24 months, and further beyond, which is going to total at least a $1 billion+ contract for Palantir. I'm going to give you in a moment, I'm going to give you the numbers, and I'm just going to use the number of 360 million, and then you guys can add to that if you would like. Since Palantir started working with the NHS in March of 2020, they were able to distribute 120 million vaccines and over 9 billion pieces of PPE, not to mention help make thousands, plural, decisions per day. And Palantir literally never stopped since they started working with the NHS. Palantir started working on a 4-month contract back in March 2020 with the NHS for a whopping £1. That contract was supposed to end in June 2020, but it was actually extended for 4 more months until the end of 2020 for now a £1 million contract. In December of 2020, once that initial £1 million contract was done, they did an extension for 2 more years. And this extension was now for £23 million. Once that contract was extended for 2 years, it came up to completion. And earlier this year, on January 3rd, there was another 6-month extension to the same exact contract for now £11.5 million. As you can see, we went from £1 to £1 million to £23 million to now £11.5 million. But the £11.5 million was at the fourth of the time as the 2-year contract for £23 million, which means it's actually a doubled amount awarded for the same exact contract. And right now we're vying for this massive £360 million plus contract. For anybody that doesn't understand how absolutely massive this contract would be, let's go over the numbers, shall we? Palantir had $1.9 billion of revenue for 2022. This was with a 24% year-over-year growth rate. So let's just take a 24% year-over-year growth rate and let's keep adding the numbers for the next 5 years. At $1.9 billion plus another 24%, we would end up with $2.3 billion at the end of 2023. Doing the same math, at the end of 2024, we would have $2.9 billion, followed by $3.6 billion in 2025, $4.5 billion in 2026, and $5.58 billion in 2027. The £360 million contract, if converted into USD, would come out to $432 million. If you take $432 million and you divide it by 5, you get $86 million a year. If you take $86 million a year and take that as a percentage of all the numbers that I just did for the last 5 years, that means that this NHS contract at the minimum of £360 million would be worth anywhere from 1.54% to 3.7% of the total generated revenue for each year of Palantir. This is extremely rough math, and you guys can take it with a grain of salt, but I wanted you guys just to understand the actual massive opportunity that we have here for Palantir. What else do we know? We know that the bidding process ended at the end of February. So technically, nobody can actually bid for the contract. In theory, all the bids are already in. When are we going to know who wins this massive, potentially $1 billion contract? Actually, we're going to know in autumn. When is autumn? Autumn is September 23rd until the end of December. So technically, in the next 6 to 9 months, we're going to know who was awarded this massive deal. Before we go any further, I wanted to give a quick plug. I wanted to give a shout out to Doc, and I want to give a shout out to Hala Madrid. They recently became channel members. A lot of people have been asking me, hey Adam, how do we support you? Do you have a Patreon? Do you have a paid Discord? And the answer is I have a free Discord. The link is down below. I don't have a Patreon currently, but I do have channel membership. That's $3 a month. If you want to show your love, if you want to show your support for the channel, I'm definitely going to appreciate that. It's $3 a month. You get a really cool badge next to your name so people know that you're supporting the channel. And you get really cool exclusive emojis that I personally designed just for you to use, my channel members. In the future, hopefully I could give you some exclusive content, but in the meantime, it's just you supporting my channel. So I want to give a huge shout out to Doc, and I want to give a huge shout out to Hala Madrid for supporting my channel. Those $3 a month, greatly appreciate it. I love you guys all. And if you guys want to join the membership, the link is down below, including the link to the Discord. Now let's get back to your regularly scheduled broadcast. But the interesting thing is on June 11th, and this is a completely different contract, but kind of coincides, our data platform contract for all of this COVID information is going to be done. Remember that $11.5 million extension that they did for 6 months with Palantir? That's going to be done in June. So it's going to be very interesting if these contracts are going to overlap or not, or if Palantir is going to get any more extensions with the NHS. At the end of the day, we know for a fact, and I played you some videos yesterday, that Palantir in the pilot programs reduced wait times by approximately 30% working with the pilot program hospitals. They also reduced wait times for cancer patients by 2 days. And if you guys don't know how absolutely massive that is freaking huge. Literally the charts that came out in the videos that I made yesterday is like this. If you're using Palantir, your productivity was here. And if you're not using Palantir, your productivity was here. It was literally an inverse diagram. Palantir at the end just works. Whether you have the workers on the front lines for NHS praising Palantir, whether you have middle management praising Palantir, or you have the highest power in the land, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Rishi Sunak, literally calling out Palantir Foundry.
You know, part of it actually is having more data and technology around management of your backlog in its entirety is clearly an obviously good thing to do. And again, it's what I was saying before, it sounds kind of obvious. Okay, we should use some technology to help us analyze our waiting list and then organize ourselves in the most optimal way. That doesn't actually happen everywhere, right? I mean, and that's part of our job, is to spread that best practice. There's a couple of different systems, you know, Foundry is another one. There are a few different systems that do a really good job of exactly what you're saying. Chelsea and Westminster is another trust which used some IT, which made a 28%, almost a third reduction in their backlog just by organising. For them, it was cleaning through their list, then organising their theatre. All of you, the nurses who have to work in theatres, you know, there's like optimising your theatre list on a day-to-day basis, you know, managing the cancellations, right? That is so important. And again, the technology can really help us do that.
At the end of the day, we know 100% for sure, Palantir is not about the smoke and mirrors. Palantir is 100% about the concrete. Yes, we actually work. The issue that we have right now is straight up haters on Palantir. And instead of worrying about people's lives, instead of worrying about the quality of healthcare, you're so worried about hating on Palantir that you don't even recognize that Palantir has and will be a great fit for the NHS and has been working with the NHS literally for the last 3 years at the highest possible capacity, increasing their contracts steadily and surely. What else do you want from a massive company like Palantir? They actually work. They're not asking you for a handout. They're not asking you for some freebie. They're asking you for fair compensation for exceptional delivery that's actually going to save you in the billions of pounds. I was reading a lot of different articles that was estimating how much money Palantir can actually save the NHS. And I read anywhere between 3.7 billion pound to over 30 billion pound can be saved by using Palantir for this federated data system. Guys, at the end of the day, it is what it is, but this contract is absolutely vital to Palantir. At first, I was worried that we might lose this contract because, hey, there can be somebody better suited. But now I know for a fact that if we lose this contract, the only reason we lost it was for political reasons. And at the end of the day, nobody is going to do as good a job as Palantir. I honestly think Palantir already got this contract. That's why this debate is over. At the end of the day, if the system is going to be better, the people in the United Kingdoms are going to speak, and the people in the United Kingdoms are going to be very, very happy for shorter wait times, better care, and the staff is going to be happier because they no longer have to do manual data combing. Literally, the middle management said, before, in our hospitals, we did everything manually, but Palantir allows us to save so much time because we do stuff automatically using the Palantir Foundry system. She literally said,
And my experience of working with data in the NHS, you either have nowhere near enough data or far too much data. And I think we've got instances of both of these in how do we manage our wait, or where we were in terms of managing our waiting list. So if I think about our information around how effectively our operating theatres are running, our teams don't have or didn't have access to that data, can't see, it's Mr. Smith on a Friday who always starts his surgery sessions late. It's Mrs. Jones who always books her Friday afternoon session to be slightly less than the others. And you have people who are managing that capacity based on gut feel. And then on the other side, too much data, really difficult to see where are the key things I need to pay attention to. If you've got lists of hundreds of tens of thousands of patients. How do we really see where those issues are, and how can you quickly get to what the different problems are, and what action you can take that can make a difference? So.
And she said that Palantir fixes everything, giving us one single point of truth. Instead of using different programs and software for different departments in every single different university and hospital, we now have one single point of truth that's going to be an extremely federated data system that can communicate with all these little local systems, making our NHS system that much better. Guys, if you want another really cool video, please click on this video down below. I really do appreciate you. Thank you very much, and have a great day.